Good afternoon. So let me begin our ceremony by thanking you, the class of 2023, for the wonderful academic year we've just spent together. Before we get into our celebration, I want to take a moment to acknowledge what is going on around us these days. Over the past few days, devastating floods have swept through our region of Emilia-Romagna. We are fortunately safe, but at least 14 people have died and thousands were left homeless after some areas received half their annual rainfall in 36 hours. The area continues to be at risk due to overflowing rivers, mudslides, and fragile bridges and roads. We're deeply sorry for the immense loss and hardship our region is facing now, but we know that the spirit of the people of Emilia-Romagna cannot be broken. Thousands of Bolognesi have all signed up to help the cleanup. The Italian government is expected to declare a state of emergency, and then there are many organizations fundraising for the recovery. Now, back to this extraordinary class. Each cohort leaves its own special mark on SAIS Europe, bringing new ideas, contributions, and innovations that then become part of the SAIS Europe heritage. This year has been special also because finally, after the years of the COVID-19 pandemic, you were able to enjoy the campus, the city, and the world without restrictions. And from what I can see, you have certainly lived it to its fullest. With 206 students representing 42 different nationalities, your class brings remarkable geographic diversity and cultural richness to the classroom and the community. You organized yourselves according to your interests and put ideas into action. This class created its own clubs and organized activities and participated in citywide volunteering on its own terms. You proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that being located in the heart of Europe offers myriad opportunities for experiential learning. Whether it was traveling alongside faculty to bring your lessons in the classroom to life, designing and leading your own study treks, visiting prestigious international organizations with your professor or with our career services colleagues, or being a part of our grand return to the Vienna Ball of Sciences. By the way, my compliments on how you lit up the dance floor. You made your mark on the world, and the world made its mark on you. Although the collective number of frequent flyer miles accrued this year may suggest otherwise, you're also an incredibly industrious and hardworking group of students. In addition to your classwork, you produced the 2023 edition of the SAIS Europe Journal of Global Affairs. This year's issue continues the great tradition as an outlet for thought-provoking scholarship from students and faculty at SAIS Europe and other graduate institutions. 75 of you also held down campus jobs as teaching assistants, skills courses leaders, RAs for the Center for Constitutional Studies and Democratic Development and the Bologna Institute for Policy Research, working the reception desk and in the library or in various administrative offices. When I say it's the students who make this place work, I mean it both figuratively and literally. You should be proud of the dynamic and interesting community you have created over the past 9 months, especially since the world has done its part to keep things interesting. Every year brings new shocks and new challenges, and this is precisely why you came to SAIS. Developing the tools to analyze these issues, studying their historical origins, and understanding the strategic and economic implications of potential solutions constitutes our bread and butter. An education from Johns Hopkins SAIS, from our Bologna Center, has never been more relevant. Students, the future is in your hands, and please remember, the tools you've learned this year are not just meant to help you get that first job after graduation, but rather to thrive throughout your career. And now I'd like to introduce someone who has quite an impressive career to share with his experiences with you. It's my honor to welcome Mr. Carl Bildt as the keynote speaker for the commencement ceremony. Mr. Bildt served as both Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Sweden. Under his leadership, the government initiated major liberal economic reforms and negotiated Sweden's accession to the EU. Mr. Bildt is currently co-chair of the European Council on Foreign Relations, a contributing columnist to the Washington Post, as well as a columnist for Project Syndicate. He serves as senior advisor to the Wallenberg Foundations in Sweden and is on the board of trustees of the RAND Corporation in the United States. In addition to his positions within the Swedish government, during his career he served in international functions with the United Nations and the European Union, primarily related to conflicts in the Balkans. He was co-chairman of the Dayton Peace Talks in Bosnia and became the first High Representative in the country, as well as Special Envoy of the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan to the region. Frankly, I can't think of a better person to address the class of 2023. So, Mr. Bildt, please join me on the stage.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished faculty members, honored guests, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2023. It is an utmost privilege and an honor to stand before you today as you celebrate this rather momentous occasion for you. So first and foremost, of course, congratulations to each and every one of you on this remarkable achievement of yours. Today marks the culmination of years of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and I hope also some fun. You have proven yourself as resilient individuals, possessing determination, tenacity to overcome the challenges that I assume have been there. For myself, in spite of the nice words, I have to confess that I never managed to complete my academic studies at the University of Stockholm before I was being dragged into the conflicts and controversies of the real world, and that's the way it has been since then. And tempting as a return to academia to complete my studies might be, I guess it's by now fairly late in the day. Much has certainly happened since those years of my unfinished academic studies. Those were years, it was half a century ago, of intense ideological battles all over the Western world. In the United States, the war in Vietnam had torn apart, not least the universities. In Europe, we had seen the barricades on the streets of Paris, with the French president even forced to flee temporarily across the border to Germany. Here in Italy, domestic terrorism was a brutal reality, culminating within a decade with the murder of a former prime minister and the horrible massacre at the Bologna train station. I remember students marching through the streets of Stockholm carrying portraits of both Mao Zedong and Joseph Stalin, while the Soviet tanks had brutally crushed the hopes of Czechoslovakia of building what was labeled at the time a socialism with a human face. My own country was outside both the European community, as it was the name at the time, and, needless to say, NATO. The states had a monopoly on all radio and television. There were strict capital controls if you wanted to go abroad. And in the city of Berlin stood that infamous wall that divided a city, divided a country, a continent, and de facto divided a world. Freedom was denied half of our Europe. The decades since then have certainly brought profound change. In terms of geopolitics, of course, the collapse of the Soviet Union and its evil empire because evil it was, and the subsequent word-changing rise or return of China. In terms of science and technology, the one breathtaking advance after the other. And the combination of these developments brought us roughly a quarter of a century that might well have been the best for humanity ever, better even in that described by Gibbon following the reforms of Diocletianus in the late Roman Empire. War wasn't completely absent. I spent, as said, years with the decade of wars of Yugoslav dissolution and all their horrors, not too far from here. But there were fewer wars, and they were less deadly than before. And there was hope that the global institutions that we had built, notably the United Nations, could start living up to the high expectations that we had put in them. The enormous nuclear arsenals built up by the United States and by the Soviet Union during the decades of the Cold War, arsenals that could have destroyed most of our world in less than 30 minutes. Those arsenals were cut by over 80%. And there was a wave of liberal reforms sweeping over the world. Democracy advanced. Remember also the dismantling of the apartheid regime in South Africa, and the combination of liberal economic reforms, including China and certainly India, ushered in a new and strong wave of growth and globalization. The first big wave of globalization had brutally ended in 1914. And then we went through two wars that swept across the globe, and the decades of confrontation and Cold War. And it wasn't really until the early 1990s that the world came back to the same level of economic integration, trade and globalization that it had achieved in the decades leading up to that profound catastrophe of 1914. And the new wave of globalization brought immense progress. Nearly 1 billion of people were lifting out of poverty. A new global middle class emerged from Shanghai to Sao Paulo. The global economy doubled in just 3 decades. Nothing of the sort had been seen ever before. And it wasn't just progress measured in strictly economic terms. Child mortality across the world could be cut in half. Life expectancy across the world increased by nearly a decade, with very few exceptions. People across the world lived longer and lived better than ever before in human history. I'm stressing this because it's been popular in recent years to speak about all the dislocations and all the disruptions that globalization brought. And these were indeed real, as they had been throughout the entire Industrial Revolution, although they result more of technological change than trade in itself. But still, you would be hard-pressed to find those that lived better half a century ago. We opened up our societies, we opened up our economies, we opened up our world, and the result, I would argue, were spectacularly successful. The best period for mankind, perhaps ever in recorded history. But gradually, things have started to change. Clouds did gather on the horizons. Storms were seen as approaching. For me, it was around 2008 that I think we entered a new time of troubles, to steal a phrase out of Russian history. The global financial crisis did hit hard across the world. A more assertive China stepped forward. War broke out in the Caucasus between Russia and Georgia. And now, of course, with full-scale Russian aggression against Ukraine and the profound rise of tensions between the United States and China, we have entered a period of distinct geopolitical dangers. And this happens at the same time as we see the rise of distinct and immense global challenges. We have just survived a devastating pandemic with perhaps 20 million people losing their lives. A pandemic that, in spite of all the warnings, took most of us by surprise. And we see temperatures rising around the world. And we know also from recent reports the last few days that we are not making the progress that we should in reducing that fatal dependence on fossil fuels that was the very core of the Industrial Revolution. And then, of course, large-scale war has come back to the continent of Europe. And I stress large-scale as distinct from what I myself experienced in the Balkans. We have hundreds of thousands of soldiers that are fighting along a front line of 1,000 kilometers. Many tens of thousands have already lost their lives, even more crippled for life. More millions have been forced to flee than anywhere else in the world. Wave after wave of missiles seek to attack and destroy the capital of a sovereign European country. But let's be clear, there is no way in which President Putin will win the war that he has started. He has set out to get rid of Ukraine and making it just a part of a revived greater Russia, but Ukraine will survive. And the important question remaining is how and when he will lose this war, and how we thereafter can secure some sort of peace in the vast east of Europe, including for Russia, that stretches for no less than 11 time zones all the way to the Bering Strait. That's a process that undoubtedly will have profound global ramifications, but is of course primarily a question for Europe. The European Union has already been substantially transformed by the war, but will have to enter a new phase in its development when the reconstruction, the reform and the integration of Ukraine as the country moves towards becoming a new member of our union in the years ahead. That will undoubtedly take time, and there are undoubtedly significant hurdles to overcome, also in adapting and changing the structures of our union to a new situation. But the political change is already there to be seen. You see the EU flag as a symbol of hope all over Ukraine, and you see the Ukraine flag as a symbol of solidarity all over Europe. And this process will have to go hand in hand with the completion of the process of integration of the countries of the so-called Western Balkans, securing that peace as well. And at some point, that's a side remark, I think the question of the return of the United Kingdom to the EU will also be put on the table. It is when Ukraine is secure as a member of the European Union, and in all probability of NATO as well, and when Russia realizes that its future is as a nation state and finally relinquishes all imperial temptations, that we will have the possibility of peace again between the river Vistula and the river Volga. The hard Russian Empire will finally be gone, and a new soft European empire will gradually emerge. That is a generational task. I was born some time ago in a world of 2.5 billion people. It was totally dominated by the Atlantic states and their power, essentially the product of the Industrial Revolution and the wars in its wake. But you, graduating here, will enter a world of 7 billion people. That is far more multipolar, with the powers and the economies of Asia being far more important, and with the rise of Africa coming not too far behind. The economy of China is already more or less the size of the US economy, and the Indian economy is on the path from the 6th largest economy in the world today to the 3rd largest economy of the world within a decade. What we see, particularly with the rise of China, is a return to the world before the Industrial Revolution took the Atlantic powers into their centuries of global dominance. Before that, the economy of China was the by far largest in the world, being approximately a third of the total. And the 2nd largest economy in the world in those days was the Indian one. That this development will change the world is without doubt. Much of the debate, particularly on the other side of the Atlantic, seems to be driven by the fear of a reverse 1870s, the decade when the United States overtook Britain as the strongest economy in the world. It took a long time for that to be translated into political and military power, but of course eventually it did. And the question is now if that is the trajectory that China is on and the consequences that this will have. One sometimes hears that China, with its increasingly repressive and authoritarian system of governance, is aiming at global domination, and it's only a matter of time until that's achieved. I belong to those less filled with fears over this, although there are challenges and risks ahead. The return of China is naturally associated with a larger role of China also in global affairs. The word of 1945, when many of our present global institutions were set up, is long gone. New and rising powers will ask for their interests to be taken into account and for their voices to be heard. India, which in these days is passing China as the world's most populous country, is also a case to the point. It is, of course, bizarre that it doesn't have a seat on the UN Security Council. Sometimes it sounds in our debates as if the aim of our policies and diplomacy should be primarily to contain and constrain these rising powers, but such a policy will, in my opinion, ultimately fail. The task should instead be to seek to make also them responsible stakeholders in a global system of cooperation that answers to the needs of all, not just those that happen to have it before. But after decades of tailwinds, China is entering a period of headwinds that makes its future economic trajectory less than certain. And to this should be added that the more it closes its society, the more it restricts its own potential. For all the impressive entrepreneurial talent that its people have demonstrated with such spectacular success during the decades of what was called reform and opening, the US is still the innovation superpower of the world and will remain so as long as it retains its open society and as long as China does not develop into one. You can hear that there are some caveats here. Things could change. The United States could sink down into polarization and protectionism. There are voices, some rather prominent, that are there. And China could change course and start to open up its economy and society. It is not in the cards for now, but should not be excluded for tomorrow. There's a danger there, and there's a hope as well. You will see in the decades ahead. The most important race in the decades ahead is the rise for the control of the commanding heights of the new technologies and scientific breakthroughs that will shape the future. It was the control of the critical technologies of the Industrial Revolution that led to the ascendancy of the West from the steam engine onwards. And we must understand that we are now only in a stage of the digital age that can be compared perhaps with the stage of the second generation steam engine of the industrial age. That age brought huge transformations with profound economic, social and political consequences. The digital age in the years ahead will undoubtedly do the same. We've seen how the previous decades have been profoundly transformed by the internet, by the web, by mobile communications, and much more. And now we are entering the transformation that will be driven by artificial intelligence, quantum computing, synthetic biology, space travel, and what might lie behind these fairly upsetting revolutionary development. I think we need to fasten the seatbelts as we look ahead. Much will change, but some things will remain. In my view, the trajectory of history is clear. It is open societies and open economies that brings the best of possibilities. They might, as well, our democracies, look messy and weak, but they always have long-term strength and endurance. In contrast, authoritarian systems might certainly look strong, but history shows that they are often fairly brittle. And the more a system concentrates power, at the worst in a single individual, make peaceful transitions, gradual correction of mistakes impossible, the bigger is the risk that it stumbles into truly catastrophic policy missteps. Putin's Russia certainly illustrates the dangers with all that will come from that, consequences there will be, and others should take lessons from what we see there. It is thus a more dangerous world that lies ahead, but also one of increasing potential. And that is the world that you are now entering. The task of your generation, as you leave your academic, joyful years, will then be to master the geopolitical power shifts so that we can avoid the specter of nuclear war. To preserve and deepen an open global economy so as to make the dream of getting rid of poverty everywhere a reality. To make the huge transition of the entire global energy in order to limit climate change. To improve our possibilities of meeting the pandemics that are bound to happen in the years ahead, and to harness the powers and the potential of the new technologies in building better societies for all, and always to keep the flag of freedom and democracy flying. Daunting tasks indeed, but also, of course, profoundly inspiring. In face of these challenges and opportunities, the significance of your education at SAIS here in beautiful, slightly rainy Bologna becomes even more apparent. You have been equipped with the skills, the knowledge, and the critical thinking abilities to navigate this ever-changing landscape and make a positive impact. And today we celebrate not only your individual accomplishments, but also the collective potential of a generation that has been shaped by the transformative experience that I'm quite certain you've had here at SAIS in Bologna. And as you step out into the world, armed with knowledge and compassion and resilience, I have no doubt that you will go on to become leaders, innovators, and change makers in your respective fields. Congratulations. May your future be filled with purpose, fulfillment, and boundless opportunity in order to create a better world for all. And I trust that you will be able to tell a story of continued progress when you are invited to give a commencement address somewhere half a century or so from now. Thank you. And I think it was very thoughtful to have the Swedish colours here. Although I think it's something else. I hope it's something else.
Thank you very much for that very insightful and wonderful speech. Since 1992, the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association has honored annually faculty throughout the university who excel at the art of teaching. Every year, we invite the students to vote for an adjunct faculty member who has represented excellence in teaching at SAIS Europe. For 2023, the winner of the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association Excellence in Teaching Award is Professor Arne Hartman. Our Stephen Muller Professor. An adjunct professor at SAIS Europe since 1996, Professor Hartman has held senior management positions at the World Bank, where she spent most of her career, as well as various positions as senior advisor and researcher with UNICEF and the World Commission on the social dimensions of globalization. In addition to impressive degrees from Hamburg University and American University, she is a 1980 graduate of the Bologna Center. Students who nominated Professor Hartman for the Excellence in Teaching Award praised her ability to stimulate and motivate students with challenging material, her dedication, and the insights into development work she conveyed based on her career as a hands-on development professional. Unfortunately, Professor Hartman could not make it this evening, but she's asked me to read the following message. Dear students, parents, friends, and colleagues, it is a great honor for me to receive this award. It is a special joy for a professor to be told by the students that your teaching is so appreciated. I am saddened that due to family emergency, I cannot be with you today. I was very much looking forward to celebrating together. But I treasure the memories of our joint learning journey during the academic year. After 2 years of online teaching, we returned to our well-appreciated SAIS Bologna teaching mode. The classroom, the meetings at Giulio's bar, joint dinners, enjoying beautiful Bologna and traveling together. It was a very special pleasure for me that I could travel with a group of students to Georgia to visit the site that affected people of a large dam project which we had simulated in class. It was one of my students, Callie, who gave me the idea to do this trip. In the many long hours of preparation, I asked myself, why did I listen to Callie? But after the trip was so remarkable, I say, thank you, Callie. It is... It is good when we professors listen to our students. But good teaching is helped by good assistants, and I'd like to thank my assistant, Vanina, for the excellent support in preparing the trip. And I'd like to thank Marilyn for assisting me throughout the semester with my course. But most importantly, I want to thank my students. A few days ago, I received the following message from a counterpart in Georgia. Quote, "We were so impressed by your students here in Georgia. They were so knowledgeable, well-prepared, curious, and engaged. It must be a real privilege to teach such students," unquote. Yes, indeed, it is a privilege. I thank my students for this experience and for the special honor granted to me today. Now I'd like to invite my colleague, Professor Nina Hall, to give out the SAIS Europe Student Awards. Nina.
First off, congratulations to you all. It's an amazing day to see you all here. And I've got the really fun job of presenting the SAIS Europe Student Awards. Before I do so, I will quickly give you a background to what these awards are. We have the Grove Haynes Awards, which are named after the Bologna Centre founder and longtime director, commemorating his commitment to international graduate level education and international affairs and to excellent research. The prizes have been awarded for the Best MAI Thesis or Thesis Length Independent Study Project, the Best Student Paper or Research Project in International Policy Areas, Regions of the World, and International Economics. So I'll be first announcing those 4 prizes. In addition, since 2019, we have a prize called the Excellence in Gender Research Prize. This was established by the Global Women Leadership Student Group of the Bologna class of 2018 and the Bologna class of 1975. This prize recognizes the importance of research into how gender shapes international affairs and policies, and the prize honors the best research paper produced by SAIS Europe students which engages a gender perspective to examine international affairs. Now, I should note, each of these prizes was judged by a different colleague of mine, so this is a bit of hive knowledge here. I'm going to be representing various colleagues and I will be quoting from them. Those of you who do win prizes, please come forward when your name is announced to receive your prize. So the first prize for international policy areas, which was judged by Professor Veronica Engel, goes to Irena Quadrali. Congratulations. And Irena wins this prize for a paper on developing better activists, the No Border movement in Europe, in which she provided an insightful analysis of the No Borders organization, which supports freedom of movement and resists migration control. To quote from the paper, Irene describes how the No Borders network has a loose organizational structure, horizontal decision-making processes, and an anarchist culture. And she goes on to examine whether or not the organization's anarchist culture helps or hinders its attempts to work with people on the move. It builds off rich primary data as well as academic scholarship to tell an important story. And as Veronica Angles said, it's written in a polished style and strikes a balance between academic rigor and accessibility. So a huge congratulations. The second prize is for regions of the world. This was judged by my colleague, Professor Liesl Hintz, who unfortunately is on her way back to DC today for commencement there. This prize goes to Jasmine McGee. Congratulations, Jasmine. Congrats, Jasmine. Jasmine's paper was on Unity and Struggle, Lessons on Activism from the Confederación de Nacionalidades Indígenas del Ecuador. This paper provides an excellent original analysis of how this confederation navigated its path from a grassroots movement of indigenous nations and participating in outsider activism to becoming a political insider with a seat at the governing table in Ecuador. She draws on literatures for social movements, transnational advocacy, as well as primary data she collected from various social movements and NGOs' websites in both English and Spanish. And in the paper, she compellingly examines how they evolved as an organization to become influential political actors and reflects on how they can maintain their solidarity and integrity. So it was a great paper. Thanks again, and congrats from Liesl Hintz, who's not here today. The next paper is for the best prize in international economics. This was judged by my colleague, Professor Tito Cordella, and the prize goes to Michael Portillo. Congratulations. Congrats, great work. So Michael's essay offers a crisp analysis of the Japanese asset bubble that emerged in the 1990s and of its subsequent collapse, as well as a thorough discussion of the political impasse that resulted in Japan's lost decade. Michael cleverly transitions from what is global, the imbalances, to what is local, the power dynamics within the Japanese government. And he is clever in drawing on the past, the US-Japan trade war of the 1980s, to understand the present, i.e. the current US-China trade conflict. So well done, and congratulations again, Michael. The next prize is the MAIA research paper or essay or thesis. It's an extended, a longer piece of work. And this goes to a dissertation on lost resilience and staggering risks by Camille Faradas. Congratulations, Camille. This prize was judged by Professor Sergei Radchenko, and he notes that it's an excellent dissertation that he really enjoyed because it had a solid grasp of the underlying issues and an astonishing attention to detail surrounding staple crop and fertilizer production. The case study applies this general knowledge to the specific case of Colombia, drawing on a series of interviews with policymakers and country experts. It was superbly researched and well written, and the policy recommendations are particularly valuable. So again, congratulations, Camille, for a great thesis. Finally, the Excellence in Gender Research Prize. This was judged by Professor Eugene Finkel. And this year's winner is Giorgia Renoldi. Congratulations, auguri. Congratulations. Georgia's paper analyzes the strategies used by opponents of legal abortion. It zooms in on one specific tactic, the use of conscientious objection. It skillfully combines moral reasoning and empirical analysis across Western societies, and her paper shows how in recent years, anti-abortion movements weaponize conscientious objection to promote their goals. As Eugene explained, it's meticulously researched, well-written, and an intellectual pleasure to read and reflect upon. So congratulations to you all, to all of the prize winners, and to all of you in the room for the excellent work you've done in this year. Thanks.
Well, that's a way to make an entrance. It is my pleasure. Wait, please, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My God. Anyway. It's my pleasure to now introduce you to our candidates for the degree for the class of 2023. We'll start with our candidates in the Master of Arts of Global Risk. Tanzu Agunja. Shanyan Chen. Joachim Farhat. Hannah Louise Gray. Alex Kaplan. Alexander Nesakalachi. Konstantinos Perdikis. Riley Sky Taylor. Eugenie Wu. We'll now move on to our candidates for the Master of Arts in International Affairs. Omar Abdin. Zaina Alzadi. Francesca Altum. Mame Ekwa Ampum. Blake Arnold. Raphael Aste. Zoe Audubon. Jacob Boswell. Andre Joel Cherie. Gabrielle Elizabeth Clark. Mary Condon. Jen Crumpet. Jo Krishatij. Not with us today, but Maximilian Delacroix. Juliette Dennis Senez Yabub. Sophia Dayton. Joshua Amaro. Patrick Faber. Camille Ferradas. Callie Fauntleroy. Alec Fiorini. Joseph Orion Fraley. Aurora Granata. Sloan Grissom. Alexander Gulia. Helene Roberts Guzman. Not with us today, but Le Wu He. Joseph Otavio Santos Horvath. Julie Sophie Justine Huzman. Olivia Lee Ingram. Alexander Jeremy Kaplan. Luca Keller. Caroline Claff. Faith Elizabeth Leslie. Daniel Moses. Oh, no, go. Shuhan Liu. Vanina Morrison. Valentina Munoz. Luis Andres Nasser Rodriguez. Natalie Oakes. Petr Pesov. Irene Quadrelli. Georgia Rinaldi. Jack Ronan. Olivia Sauberg. Josefina Sanchez Puerta. Michael Schroeder. Ethan Aaron Smith. Cyrielle Trebosk. Nicholas Triolo. David Unterreiner. Evelyn Wan. Cassandra Ward. Claudio Wiedenig. Sean Wissing. Not with us today, but Timothy Ryan Wong. Aida Jarmuhametova. We will now recognize our candidates for the Master of European Public Policy. Margarita Bondaryeva. Eduardo Farsi. Nor Menton. Sophia Notter. Ines Sorado Helbich. Priya Swiden. We will now recognize our 3 candidates for the Masters in International Public Policy. Melissa Arnold. Kanishk Bishnoi. Thomas Michael Gatto. We will now recognize our candidates for the Master of Arts in International Relations. Zhu Jing Wu. Donna Yang. And finally, not with us tonight, our candidate for the diploma, Yiran Huang. Please join me in giving one final round of applause for our 2023 graduates.
Congratulations, everyone. Our student government members have always had a difficult task ahead. Within days of arriving and being elected to their positions, they have to get to know the school, the general SAIS Europe community, and the needs, wants, and personality of their cohort. Much of their work goes unnoticed and unsung, but it is essential work nonetheless. This year's SGA Executive Board had an even more difficult work cut out for them. The Bologna Center prides itself on traditions, big and small, seasonal parties, storied events, the ebb and flow of a standard academic year, and yet this year represented a total reset. Almost all of our students had yet to experience Bologna and our school before the pandemic, and SGA was tasked with charting a new course. They found their way, asked relevant important questions, and demanded change. Please allow me to recognize our 2023 Executive Board. So, as I call your name, please come up. Alejandro Flores Renteria. Jack Kennedy. Michael Portillo. Enrique Reyes Dominguez. Big day, big day. And Sean Wising. In particular, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our class of 2023 Student Government President, Mr. Sean Wising. So.
All right, class of 23, how are we doing? All right, I realize, like me, your hands are probably just about clapped out. So can we get just one more round of applause for all our friends and family who made it out today? We're all very grateful. I also want to offer some gratitude to the teachers and the staff that obviously keep this program running. So thanks so much to all of you as well. I'm also, I have to restate how pleased we all are to have Mr. Carl Bildt join us here today. It's really been an honor, and we're very fortunate to have you with us. Okay. I promise I wrote a speech too. Next to Mr. Bildt and Professor Plummer, I'm a little bit out of my depth with regard to talking about international economics, so I'm going to lean on my comparative advantage of basically the last 2 years as I remember them. So thank you for having me on the stage with you, Professor Plummer. It's been a real honor, especially given that we know that you're moving on from your role as director, so in a way really you're also graduating today. Professor Plummer is, if you know him, he's from the Midwest in Michigan, and yeah, woo is fine. And Midwesterners are famous for long goodbyes, which is true because I remember when Professor Plummer started saying goodbye at last year's commencement. I'm glad to have you here though, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to take your excellent Asian Economic Development class. Professor Plummer is a great professor, a credit to the school, and he is a technician both in economics and on the drums. I was sitting in the auditorium at SAIS 2 years ago, which is kind of crazy to say, and I remember we were getting ready to listen to Professor Plummer, whose face I had only seen in photos on a web page, as he outlined what a good choice we had all made in coming here. He emphasized that we should seriously consider taking econometrics. Ha, yeah, right, I thought. So then a couple months later, there I was in econometrics. Holding on for dear life, I thought, wow, does personal growth really have to feel like this? In some quizzes, I felt like I'd showed up to a battle of wits, completely unarmed. Non-spuriousness, heteroskedasticity, sometimes it felt that I was the real dummy variable. I was yeah, you never know which jokes will land. I was never much of a quantitative guy. I've always had to get by in life on my charm and my avuncular nature, so you can imagine how tough that has been for me at times. But I persisted and I learned in econometrics and I passed, and I can genuinely say that I am glad to have undertaken the experience. As Professor Hartman has said to us, in life you may find yourself faced with a policy decision and somebody will come up to you with some econometric formula swearing that the numbers support their idea or their intervention, and if you don't know anything about it yourself, you may be swayed by faulty information. So even if it is not my destiny to become a master of econometrics, I think I've benefited from the experience. So it was tempting when I first began drafting this speech to talk about myself, and I think I'm off to a pretty good start. on that. And to relate to you all some of the experiences of a relatively ancient 32-year-old SAIS student. That's me. But I am not a teacher, and although most of you are younger than I am, I feel like I'm learning from you more often than not. I'm not sure that it's my job here to give you guys any advice anyway, so I'll just talk a little bit about my experience. One of the great things about this environment is that when we're not learning from our prolific faculty with who knows how many decades of combined experience, we can still learn from each other. And let's not forget that they can learn from us too, as you have undoubtedly noticed if you've ever seen a professor trying to unmute themselves on Zoom. But we didn't come here to study under Zoom gurus. We came to learn about US foreign policy, development economics, democracy, and autocracy, and to learn from seasoned veterans in a strategic location. Here in Bologna, you're halfway between Edinburgh and Tel Aviv, practically equidistant from Lisbon and Lviv, and never more than a few hours away from a nice Campari Spritz. Getting into this school was such an exciting experience because it's the only one I applied to after an intense search, and I was sure when I applied that this was the right program for me, and I feel extremely lucky that I was allowed in. As you all know, before being accepted to the school, we have to interview with some staff or faculty member as a part of our final admissions process. And my interview was with the director of the languages department, Sara Gelmetti. Thanks to her, by the way, for giving me the nod of approval. I remember it well. I was sitting there about a year into the pandemic at my apartment where I worked from home, and I was talking to her on Zoom during a fake Outlook appointment that I had created with an innocuous title like Client Call, so that my managers and teammates wouldn't know that I was executing my plan to escape that job. During the call, Sara Gelmetti asked me, Sean, you have a job now, and leaving that to go back to school seems like a big risk. What makes you so sure about that decision? And I said that for me, the real risk is staying in a situation that I know is not conducive to living the life that I want to live. I wanted to work internationally and to start developing some competency in foreign policy, and I had a list of things that I wanted to get out of a master's. And I wanted to go to a reputable university outside of the country to do it. There just is not a long list of places that fit that bill. This is the only school that checked all those boxes for me. It had name brand appeal, and it offered the chance to learn international affairs in a foreign setting. It's a preeminent program. It's one of the top 2 universities in Bologna. I admit, there was some sticker shock on the price of the whole experience. But there were 2 enticing deals going on that bid me continue. The first was that at that point, they were waiving the admission fee, and there was also a pandemic promotion of buy 1 year, get the other year full price, and I couldn't pass it up, so that was nice. Yeah, the tuition is expensive. I'm not going to miss an opportunity to complain about that, but that's because I've always been prodigious at kvetching, and really, I've said it a bunch of times in the past, and I really mean it. For me, this was a high stakes but very good bet. The bet being that worst case scenario after 2 years here, I'll end up where I was before with nothing to show for it but the best 2 years of my life. And that's what I've gotten here. This room is full of people who have contributed enormously to that. It has been a transformative experience, and even if sometimes transformation is humbling, it's because I have found that sometimes I have to accept what I am not in order to become what I am capable of being. I'm able to do things today that I would never have thought possible to me in my previous life. It was never my expectation to live in Italy or to study so much economics, let alone to try to assimilate to the Italian culture and use econ lingo in my day-to-day life. But today, thanks to SAIS, I can speak Italian and I have a high debt to GDP ratio. The classes would be nothing without the students, and my experiences with my classmates have been profoundly rewarding. The friendships that formed in these closing years will go on with us for the rest of our lives, and other relationships that have grown in that same span of time are sometimes even deeper. I'm already looking forward to the reunions where we can greet each other again and enjoy each other's continued growth. And I've used the title of president as a punchline in the past, but serving on SGA has been an honor, and I hope that some good has come out of my term. I wish each of you nothing but the best, and I believe that I speak for everyone in this room when I say that attending SAIS is a decision I would make again and again. It's a community from which we've gained tremendously and to which we owe a great deal. And as I finish this speech, I just want to make a couple of final acknowledgments to the professors I've had that would literally give us the shirt off their back. Professor Redchenko did it last year at the commencement speech. That's not a joke, that happened. To the professors that worked tirelessly to provide a unique experience that could only be possible because of their willingness to draw upon their personal networks and resources for studies in the field, like we had with Professors Hartman and Matza. To professors like Mark Gilbert and Dana Allen, who bring out our own voices in conversations about policy, and to the language professors, of course, like Giorgia Marchiori and Roberto Gambarini, the administration, like Dea, Susanna, Gabby, and to the staff at Julio's Bar, who offer us a common place to share together. Again, please, yeah. Once again, I'm grateful to our loved ones who made the time to come out here today, and I'm mindful of all the people that we wish could have been here with us today as well. There are too many other people to thank that I did not name, but I want to finally thank and congratulate you, who today is all about, my peers and friends of the class of 23. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. I was honestly very nervous and intimidated, but at the same time very excited to start this new journey.
These 2 years at SAIS have undoubtedly been the happiest years of my entire life.
And I'm extraordinarily grateful for it.
Congratulations, guys, we did it.
Congratulazioni,
Class of 2023.
Congratulations.
Felicitaciones.
Parabéns.
Ciao ragazzi, ciao amici.
Congratulations.
We did it.
Congratulations, Class of 2023.
Felicidades
A todos por la graduación.
You did it!
After a long journey came to an end.
It's been such a joy to spend the year with you guys in Bologna.
Really well done for all your hard work.
I'm so proud.
Thank you so much for a wonderful year. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you, and
We're so lucky to have had you all as mentors and as great examples for us.
My experience here has been really incredible. It's not something that I ever anticipated being able to do.
And now I can't imagine what my life would have been like without this experience.
I truly appreciate how this school has a tight community where we can all get to know each other, not just among students, also with the professors, also with the staff.
I think it's really unique and special to be able to be in an environment where people are not only, knowledgeable but passionate about the same issues as me.
You can feel a cohesive sense of community.
It's giving me a skill set that isn't just a technical skill set, but a skill set to be able to connect with people for the rest of my life.
When the invasion of Ukraine happened, I was in my contemporary Russian foreign policy class, and I think being able to actually be there and discuss it and kind of see what have an expert talk about it and kind of have that, and have all these events happen while I was at SAIS and kind of see how the world has changed.
I think after this, I will view the world in a different way because of the diversity of education I've had, the diversity of people I've met.
Professors I've had have made a really big difference in my education. Specifically Professor Jacqueline Matza, Professor Hartman, Professor Blanco as well.
Professor Del Sarto.
I think the memories that I'll cherish the most are going into the hills around Bologna for a picnic.
Getting together on Friday nights and getting the SAIS band together and playing at Julio's Bar, that was always such a special way and fun way to just spend time with all of our friends.
One opportunity that I was able to be a part of was the Bosnia study trek.
Getting to go to Georgia with Professor Hartman was an extremely informative experience.
The week we met with so many different organizations. It's something that, despite not being a European expert or anything like that, it's something that I will always remember and be able to share the story of the people that we met with as well going forward.
I've been through 2 different classes and have met 2 cohorts worth of people that have changed my life.
I'm not said that it's over because in a way it's not over. I mean, the relationships I've made here don't have to end with the academic calendar.
I feel like I'm definitely more motivated just because of the environment that I was set up in.
And I hope we can move forward and hopefully make a genuine but beneficial impact on the world.
What I hope for the most is that we can all be happy. More than successful or money, I hope that we all end up happy.
To myself, I wish a job with low responsibilities and very high salary and a lot of days of paid vacation with permanent employment preferably. To my peers, I wish, I don't know, a lifetime full of learning and travel and meaningful work, and also not such better work than I have.
To the graduating class of 2023, as the Ghanaian will say, Yamamo Aiko, go and change the world. You are change makers. We believe in you.
Thank you for being our colleagues.
I'm so excited to see what you're going to do in the future.
And as we say in Dutch, gefeliciteerd. I wish you a lot of good luck in your careers and go make positive change.
In Colorado, we say congratulations.
बहुत बधाई हो, मुबारक हो. And I'm sure that you guys will do great wherever you guys go, so go and get it.
Great job, class of 2023, and
good luck on all your future endeavors.
You're going to be great employers, I will know.
Let's go and keep rocking.
I wish you guys nothing but the best, finding new jobs that you love. We know you guys are going to go on to change the world.
Hopefully see you in 5 years for our reunion.
Best wishes going forwards.
So good luck with whatever you're doing next.
So excited to see all the wonderful things you'll do in the future.
Mejores deseos para el futuro.
I also wanted to say thank you for making this year the experience that it was for me and all of our classmates.
Really excited to see where everybody ends up.
Buona fortuna!
Best class Bolognese.
Tanti auguri.
Ciao for now.
Ciao.
Bacio.
Oh, SAIS!
Ciao. Finito.
Class of 2023.
Okay, that was a wonderful video, and I would like to thank Rodney Sean, for his very interesting remarks. Anyway, it's really been a pleasure to work with you over the year, as well as to have you in class. When SAIS Europe was founded 68 years ago, the goal of Professor Seagrove Haynes was to provide advanced training to students representing many nationalities who would be taught by a top-notch international faculty and would learn from each other, sharing in unique experiences that would prepare them for careers as global leaders in international affairs. The class of 2023 is exemplary in this regard. You've impressed your professors in the classroom, bonded outside the classroom, and have demonstrated a strong commitment to making the world a better place. I have every confidence that you will. As many of you leave this special place, I hope you too will think of yourselves as ambassadors of Bologna and of the school. As you observed during Alumni Weekend, Bolognesi form a lasting bond, and not just among themselves, but also with the impressive network of over 8,000 alumni. Your Johns Hopkins SAIS community begins with the people seated here today, but reaches well beyond. It's been my great honor and privilege to work with you and to be the first to welcome you as new graduates and as freshly minted alumni. We wish you the very best to those of you that are continuing your studies in Washington, and we look forward to seeing our returning Bolognese back on campus in September. Our entire cohort deserves nothing but our congratulations and our applause, but not just from me. Here are some warm wishes from the SAIS community who join me in congratulating you on your achievement today. Hit it.
Hi everyone. So if you're watching this, that means you've made it to the end of the year, and I just want to be one of the many people today that's going to congratulate you.
Congratulations to the class of 2023.
Félicitations.
Parabéns.
Congratulations everyone.
Great job.
Congratulations
To all of you
pour avoir fait une année merveilleuse.
Congratulazioni ragazzi.
Поздравляю вас.
Ciao ragazzi, grazie per questo meraviglioso anno.
Ciao a tutti and congratulations.
I am so pleased that you've all got to commencement.
You are an amazing, terrific class with great commitment to development to the city of Bologna and to the world.
Congratulations to your achievement.
After a year of hard work, determination, and good humor.
I want to offer my deepest and most profound congratulations
on a job well done.
For me, it was a special year because we traveled together, at least students from my class, to Georgia on an adventurous trip, and I remember that for in the future for the experiences we had.
Let me wish you all the luck you deserve. Also, I really hope you will find time in your very busy to pay us some visits in the years to come.
Vi auguro tutto il bene del mondo.
And I look forward to seeing many of you in different functions. From the past, I know it's always a special joy when I meet you in conferences in the corridors of some institutions and I hear, Professor Hartmann, how are you doing? And I say, how wonderful to see you.
E poi ci vediamo tra 5 anni per un altro aperitivo come si deve.
I can't wait to see you all back in Bologna when you're alumni, when you don't have schoolwork to worry about, and we can really enjoy our time together.
Remember that your Bologna family welcomes you back with open arms.
Ci vediamo a Bologna.
Hallo Leute, hallo liebe Deutschstudierende. Ich wünsche allen eine wunderbare Zukunft und ich bedanke mich für eure super Mitarbeit und ja, für das schöne Jahr, was jetzt leider zu Ende geht.
Vous avez été fantastique et bon futur, bon été.
It's been a pleasure to work with you this year as you've become clear, sophisticated, persuasive writers, and I look forward to seeing how you'll use these tools to contribute and make your mark on the world in the future.
I was impressed by your strength and by your resilience and your enthusiasm.
The way you've been helping each other out.
And I hope that you will continue to be critical towards all sides, always question all sides.
Today is an auspicious day. You go out into the world beyond with all the knowledge and training that you've acquired here at SAIS.
I would like to leave you with the words of Jon Stewart, one of my favorite political commentators. He said that the unfortunate yet truly exciting thing about your life is that there is no core curriculum. The entire place is an elective.
It's an important time to be studying foreign policy, but when is it not an important time to be studying foreign policy?
My wish is that you find your way of contributing to social and political innovation.
I'm convinced that you are better qualified than anybody else to implement social innovation, whatever the job or the work you will enter very soon.
You'll become good policymakers in the future, and by good policymakers, I mean policymakers who are competent, but who know how to make the right ethical choices.
I would be most proud just to know that if at some point in your future life, when it mattered, that you conducted yourself with utmost integrity, that would make you an A student in my book for life.
Now, go out,
fix the world and don't do the mistakes that my generation and older generations did. And in that, I envy you, because now you have an opportunity to do it right and to make the world a better place.
Thank you so much for the pleasure of working with you. Thank you for being always so nice and so generous and patient with me.
I wish you a really warm future, and I look forward to welcoming you all back in the library as alumni.
At MAIR.
I wish you very well for your future.
And all the best for the next chapter.
Vi auguriamo davvero tutto il meglio.
E in bocca al lupo a tutti.
Muito sucesso na vida de vocês.
Best of luck and stay in touch.
Have a wonderful celebration today and wishing you all the best for the next phase of your life. It's been wonderful getting to know you.
So now break the mold and take your place in the world.
Just remember, step by step, you will walk 1,000 miles.
Best wishes for your next adventure.
It has been a great pleasure to have you here.
My best wishes for a life full of success, health, and happiness.
And I hope you keep fond memories of your year here in Bologna.
Good luck for your future career.
Congratulations, class of 2023. This was a very exciting year, and you've done everything with grace, determination, and hard work. Whatever your plans are going forward, I know that you'll do great and you'll make SAIS Europe very proud. And good luck for your summer projects and beyond. Congratulations once again, and I look forward to chatting with you at the reception chez nous. Please make your way back to the Bologna Center for our celebratory cocktail and dinner reception, everyone. So,